Mic on, yes. What a delay.
Can't bust me. Get up, you gotta do your verse, nigga.
Don't be such a square. Everybody's anybody drink.
Yeah, only when I'm drunk. Only when I'm drunk. Alright, think I'm feeling a little better. Ready to bust this. Yeah, only when I'm drunk. Only when I'm drunk. Yeah, only when I'm drunk. Only when I'm drunk. Alright, think I'm feeling a little better. Ready to bust this. Yeah, only when I'm drunk. Only when I'm drunk. Yeah, only when I'm drunk. Only when I'm drunk. Alright, think I'm feeling a little better. Ready? Yeah, only when I'm drunk. Oh, yeah, only when I'm.
And now,
Yeah, only when I'm drunk. Only when I'm drunk. Alright, think I'm feeling a little better. Ready to.
Okay, my dumb butt. Forgot to turn the camera on. How we doing, fellow Cannabisians? I'm sorry, I'm extremely late. I definitely know this. Something is different. Why does it not look as bright and vibrant in here? Hold on one moment. Do some minor adjusting. That's better that a ways. Surrounded by cannabis. How's everybody doing out there? Yeah, I'm extremely sorry that I'm late. Like I said, on Sundays, my family gets up super late, so I'm up at like 7 something. They aren't ready to boogie until about 9, and that cuts it close. My phone broke, so I wasn't able to throw up a thumbnail or really do much research. But we're still going to have an excellent show. Hold on, I'm missing some features here. There we go. That's important. And that's important to me. Turn a little better. All right. A little better. So how we doing out there, Kick? How we doing out there, YouTube? How we doing out there, Rumble? I'm paying attention today, and yes, we are going to do the original Haze dry trim today. Hope everybody's doing all right. I want to hear some tones, too. There we go. So I hope everybody had an excellent week. I definitely did. I'm enjoying myself. Let me throw this light on. To me, you don't look as vibrant as you need to be. Yeah, something is definitely different. Is that it? That's a little better. That's a little better. Yeah, I think it's actually the light. I'm gonna leave the camera alone because I gotta adjust it anyway when we do this trimming. Ow! Up in here early. Evan L. How you doing, Paul? Oh, yes. Oh, Land Race Cornerstone. Hustle Estate. Oh, from South Africa. Nice. Up in the DMV area in Maryland, DC, Maryland, Virginia. How's everyone doing out there? I didn't know if this dry trim was going to go on because it seemed to take a while for a lot of this to dry. A couple of days ago, it was like 73% humidity. But, oh yeah, it's barely at 60 now. So I got to get this done. I've been in trim drill for quite some time. All right, cool. Everyone having a good day out there. This is, what the heck is this? This is Octane Haze. mixed with a little bit of the original haze, like some of this. I was trying some last night. I definitely get that hazy taste, like citric, earthy. Yes, sir. I'm glad everybody showed up. Thank you very much. Y'all had a good week. I'm hoping this gets better. Mine, it's been like 2 out of 3 weeks without a phone, so it's definitely been different. So I guess we came here for the trimming. So let me go ahead and start it off. I'm gonna go ahead and set the camera up. We're gonna go ahead and get this dry trim going so we can enjoy ourselves. Okay, camera, cool. Yeah. And there we go. And I'm trying to get closer to you. There we go. Trying to do my thing as promised. You want to put that on the screen. The screen of the trim tray. Yo, man. Let me move these scissors over. That's the 3 blades I'll basically be using. The blue one's a little curvy. These I've had for about 4 years. These I just got this year for this season. I knew I'd be in hell. Let me get a piece. We're gonna start this dry trim off. Let me get the one on my face. It's bothering me. Okay, yeah, there we go. I'm trying to get it on screen as well as I can. Need a little bit more light up in this bed, though. There we go. So this is how the original haze turned out. Kind of halfy, a lot of leaf on it, but that was for the adjustment of the to adjust for the humidity being in like what 40%. Oh yeah, it still got some give to it. So I kind of caught it. I forgot my bucket. I'm gonna be having to trim in a whole 5-gallon bucket. I was trimming all yesterday, all the day before. And sheesh, man. Trim jail is an understatement. Yeah, that's a super understatement. There we go. That can happen. Stand up for this one. There we go, because yeah, I couldn't really see the light there. I'm hoping y'all are getting this. But just pretty much twirling it around, getting any excess leaf off I can. Clipped another piece off on accident. I must be nervous, or even my motor skills ain't what they used to be. I'll get to that later. Here we go. And I just like to keep it all on a branch because it's easier to kind of twirl around and get all angles of it. Yeah, this has quite a bit of moisture. I'm surprised. I have like the other 2/3 of this in the garage, and that's really dry. That's what I was spending most of my time doing yesterday. Oh yeah, once we get this crap off, we start seeing some beauty. There was I don't know what kind of cocoon was in one of the branches I was looking at. It tucked, it was like an egg sac tucked underneath one of the leaves here. And what the heck is going on? Oh, it was just nature, trying to be naturist. That was like one of the only plants out there, so I guess that's where it had to go. Oh yeah, the piece I didn't cut all the way off. My bad. Get out of there. Yeah, I might just cut right through so you can see that separation, at least. Start swirling it all around. Ah! I want that. What the hell? All right. Kind of what we got here. And I don't know if you can tell the like orange hairs too well on it. Orange brown, they still kind of kept that bronzy like look to it. Hold on, I forgot the bucket to put this crap in. When you see that, you'll be like, what? We're going space age this year. Yeah, these things were huge. These spears ended up drying very, very well. I'm very impressed. Yeah, let me go get this bucket so you can see what I'm talking about. Just a 5-gallon bucket to store stuff. My bad. My bad. I had so much stuff to bring in here. And I basically started, at 9:59 working on getting crap in here. Oh, yeah, you can see that well. It's our 5-gallon bucket. Let me get a little lower so you can see the twist off lid. Like airproof container. And I got this idea from the Ganjanier. He basically, this is probably like 5 years ago, was selling buckets like this to cure cannabis in for like over 10-pound harvest. My Bovita packs and a little bit of dopage in there. It just starting. Hold on, that away. No, this away. My bad. Yeah, you can see the dopage in there. So that's where we're storing everything. Let me give it a boost. Hit her lids. So I'm ready. Okay, yeah, you can see that a little bit. That's a little boost here. You can see the pure bucket. So just when we trim everything off, we're gonna throw it in a bucket and try and fill this bad boy up. I'm pretty sure that's possible. I've filled up about 3 quart jars so far. And, you know, give or take, I didn't weigh anything yet. I wanted to cure it and let it get fully dry before I did that. But usually it's about like anywhere from 2.5 to 3 ounces in one of those quart jars, depending on the density of the bud and everything, how fluffy it is. Into the bucket we go. Into the bucket we go. Into the bucket, into the bucket, into the bucket we go. I'm gonna cut this down. I don't know, I like keeping the whole stem inside. There's still give in it, so it's not breaking. But a nice little cluster here. I guess realistically, this is like the main portion of the cola here. And these are all little smaller buds, but I want to keep them a little larger and intact. Now, this was the piece that fell off that branch. So I'm gonna try and grab it by the stem. Kind of same thing, go at a like 45-degree angle, something like that. Try and cut stem right at the root, because once it dries, it's like a needle. And it will mess your papers up. So cool. Yeah, stop there. And we're gonna continue on. Yeah, I'm surprised how moist this still is. We trimmed this down 7 days ago, actually. We did the original Haze harvest last Sunday. And it's been a week and it still has quite a bit of moisture in it. Well, you can see how loose and goosey the leaf is, got a lot of give to it. And I can't really just naturally put it off. So my plan is to take this stuff that's at 60% humidity. I'm sure this is probably at like anywhere from 68 to like 66% humidity. This is very, very soft and giving. I'm going to try and combine the two just to even out the humidity. Keep it at around 62. I like that a lot. More than 63, and yes, I've compared and tried. I think the Bovita packs are correct at 62% humidity. There's a reason. Yeah. Yeah. There we go. Like, this is a lot different than indica. I noticed that it does not have any, it doesn't really have any sugar leaves for the most part. Most of the leaves that are sticking out of this are just regular vegetative leaf that are just sun absorbers, more so than having any kind of THC property to it. I don't really see any resin glands or trichome on it as much as I would see like a hybrid or a indica leaning hybrid, I could say, or an indica dominant plant. Pure indica, something like that. I really noticed the difference, not only in structure, how the plant grows, but just how the THC is distributed. Give it a couple knocky knocks. Let me switch. This little slight curvature here gives me quite the advantage. Spin them around, you can actually go in without having to go in. So I think this little tip, the curved tip, is really more so what I'm going for. I'll probably try and get more of those next time I actually am up for buying some more trimming scissors. These two actually came with the trim tray. That's the reason I actually have them in the first place. Okay. I'm trying to shoot through this so we can at least get a bottom layer in that bucket. Something to show for our troubles, if that makes sense. But I'm about to take a break in a second. Got about half of this trimmed up. Right there. Shit, we got about half of this trimmed up pretty decent. You can see how the difference is this shaggy daggy stuff that we didn't get to. Yeah, sunleaf stem. Those get pretty hard, nasty too once this fully dries. So I don't feel as bad about going in deep or making deep cuts in this, because like I said, it's not as much trichome and resin glands to salvage. Most of the trichome production is in towards the inside of the plant. It's like a tube more so than spread out like a dusting or something, the way trichomes are on indica plants. I'm sorry, I'm trying to be scientific and get the job done at the same time, so I probably sound dumb as crap. Once I take this break, I'll try and explain it a little better. Maybe even crack a beer. I brought some coffee out here too, but I feel like I've been working as Miller time, as they used to say when I was little. When you could actually drink in commercials, baby. The good old days. All right, yeah, my back is killing me standing up underneath this. I gotta move this branch that's by my head. I'm trying not to hit it. But it's making me feel like I'm in a tiger cage. Dang, I'm old. I said tiger cage like you know what that meant. That was a cage literally to hold a tiger in, but they would put POWs inside of them to torture them, because you couldn't really sit and you can't really stand. So eventually you like mentally crack from being uncomfortable. If that makes sense. Feel a little bit better, I think. Yeah, you can see this pretty well. I'm looking at the monitor, my bad. But I think a pretty good trim job. We got more to go into the bucket. Here we go. Another nice little nuggie, I think. A little more trim on it. And there's still some leaf stuff there. In the grand scheme of things, you think you do a good job, but once you kind of cut away, you get to see the trees for the forest and go in a little deeper. Yeah, get all the non-resi stuff off. Yeah. Ta-da! Oh, so that go that way, that way, that way. Yeah, there we go. Let's see it a little better. And off with his head. All right, woo, yeah, my back. So let me slap the lid on this and break the break. Screw the lid back on. And then we'll get back to work. How long have I been doing this? Oh, pretty good. Let me just put the cam right here and flip it up so we don't gotta go through all this extra BS. There we go. There we go. Yeah, and you can see I'm still in trim gel, but at least it's not around my hair. Oh, good. I'm glad. Thank you. Thank you for telling me everything was good, Rams Outdoors. How you doing? Sorry, I was a little distracted. I'm glad. That's weird. Like I said, I'm in the shed, and literally, I think you can see kind of the shed in a lot of the videos, as much as I try and hide my location or whatever. I don't know how well that works. But the shed is like literally 20 feet from where I was trying to do the original Haze trim at, and it was just horrible. So the only thing I can kind of figure out is more than likely the signal, I guess, trying to get past and behind the garage, which is like cinder block, that must have messed it up. And just being able to go straight, the connection being able to go straight back to the shed without an obstruction is a difference. I don't know. Because honestly, I don't even have the Ethernet cable hooked up, so I'm extremely happy it's working out. Thank you. Thank you so much. A little more of the original Haze mixed with Octane Haze. And this is like, mixed together, this is extremely flavorful. Original Haze alone, like I've had some of this, you know, it didn't really get a chance to cure or anything, but just straight up, it was so dry outside and everything, it wasn't too hard. I get a lot of citric, and it is like that hazy, earthy kind of smell to it. It's not as cat pissy smelling to me, but I'm sure once I cure it, that's going to come back. This is about at I had one jar at 61% humidity and another jar at 63. Now within the what, 60 to 65% humidity window. Yeah, nah, thank you. I'm about to crack some beers too in a minute. All right, I just need the coffee to wake up. I think it did its job. Now for a little muse head. Whoever wields this hammer, if he be so worthy, will possess the power of Thor and be able to drink like a god, have a infinite bladder. Now let me see his kick. Let me see what Rumble's doing real quick. Oh, Rumble's tripping. Okay, oh well. I just want to make sure I'm not missing anybody. I'm glad for everybody to come out. Even though this is the best gardening stream on the internet on Sunday at 10 a.m. I'm glad anybody comes out and tries to enjoy themselves with me. The growing community makes me happy. It makes me enjoy doing this, really. I guess, like, quite honestly, I was telling wife about my, I guess, YouTube career, and at first I was showing off, and I just knew, bam, as soon as I make this video, I'm gonna have 5,000 subscribers. And quite honestly, that did not happen at all. And about 3 years down the line, that was like the first, I don't know if I want to do this anymore. But I started finding other live streamers and other content creators that were pretty much like, you know, you're just competing with yourself. You're just competing with yourself. And I started to agree with that. Like, I kind of look at it that I'm going to be doing this anyway. So if I can show this to anybody's interested in it, there's a benefit. And I see that a lot of y'all come in here. I'm very happy to see a lot of repeat people. Some people have started talking to each other, hopefully offline. That's kind of the point of this, to get better, make everything better. Life better, growing better, enjoying ourselves. And I'm glad that happened. All right, I'm gonna get back to work in a minute. I just want to take a little break real quick. Yeah, I gotta get this out of my face. That's the problem. So let me do that now as a matter. All right, sorry. Okay, yeah, that helps. Okay, and then thank you. Okay, cool. Now I can probably function a little better. Is everything out of here? No, this is still here. Yeah, we got a lot of work to do. Okay, so like 30 minutes. All right, I'm gonna trim one more branch. I'm gonna trim this one here, and we'll go into the videos. I'm not sure, you know, how y'all feeling about the trim or whatever. It is interesting. It is something you don't get to see every day, but I do understand how it can be boring, and I'm trimming and I don't like it. One more sip and let's do this. Maybe if I heard the music, which is not playing now, I feel a little better. Music. Okay, apparently it's still on. My fault. I gotta go in here and make sure everything came on. Nope, that music wasn't on the whole time. Oh, that hurt my feelings. That hurt my feelings. I'm sorry, y'all. That must have been a rough trim session. So let's do this. I heard that in the headphone. All right, so let me adjust the cam and we'll get to trimming this. I also do have, what's dude's name? Bruce Bugsby, I want to say. But it's about the ideal lighting for growing indoors, the ideal light for your tent size, and also like the 10 cardinal parameters of growing, like the 10 environment parameters that you need to really keep in mind whenever you're trying to grow plants. Once you consider all of those factors, that pretty much that makes optimum growing, as they say. Okay, a great subject to discuss. Good point. Okay, thank you. So I guess the subject I would probably discuss is, of course, I don't want to get political, but how does everybody feel about the election and Donald Trump? Are you happy or are you upset? And I'm actually happy in the sense that yesterday I saw that Trump was basically saying he's going to stop companies from restricting content creators pretty much. They won't be allowed to censor you. And that was music to my ears. Not just for me, but every content creator who does cannabis can actually look forward to being monetized now, as before that was not the case. So that's one benefit I feel from that's going to come out of this. So that makes me happy. Is there anything that makes you happy about any kind of the changes that are coming? Also, I'm happy about the food getting healthier. I should definitely say that. That's something I'm looking forward to. As far as most growing goes, is all the regulations come from the companies who can pretty much afford to pay the regulations and kick the ladder out from other people who can't. So that gap might be bridged and thus help everybody. Maybe organic farming can actually be organic. What do you guys think? Yeah, that made me very happy as far as a content creator. Also, something I'm noticing is whenever I use my phone to search something or I use my laptop to do something, I get two totally different results. It's like two different worlds. And the apps I use on my phone almost don't exist in the world on my laptop. Whether downloading movies or my YouTube or Rumble feed. There's two totally different windows that'll pop up. But no, I'm very happy for the growing. I'm happy about the food. What else can directly benefit us? Like, because everything else is iffy. But I know that growing better food, having less regulation and censorship is definitely a direct benefit to pretty much everybody. And I hope, the other thing is, yeah, the government spending thing. All these crappy surveys and tests. Hey, did you know coffee will wake you up in the morning? There's enough caffeine in coffee to, yeah, we can stop spending money on that. That's what I'm looking forward to. Because another way to generate money for us is not necessarily that we increase how much we get, but if the price of what we're buying gets lower. So that definitely seems to be the route that they're going for, is to lower the cost on goods. And yeah, I'm extremely happy about that. We've been going through it. I'm so old. Eggs used to be like 69 cents a dozen. And now they're like $6.99. So I'm definitely happy about that. I hope all farmers get to shine and get some kind of benefit out of this. Maybe even have a resurgence. A lot of farmers sold their farms in the like 90s and late 80s. So maybe people will go back into that. It'll be worth it versus being regulated to death and it not being a real profit margin to get into it for. That's pretty nice. I like that one right here. I like that bud right there. Very, very fluffy. Yeah, when it's dry, this is going to be like very fluffy weed, I can see. Not really super dense, but the bud formation on it, I really, really enjoyed. I expected this to be really thin, wispy spears, and these flowers seem to have some actual bulk on it. So I'm very pleased with that. There we go. And actually, I must say that now that I can hear the music, it is very relaxing. I was so distracted, I wasn't even paying attention. Ah. Oh, wow. Yeah, we did, I guess, get decriminalized. But it's still a stigma on it. I think the other thing Trump the election did was change the face of, I guess, the Republicans and what Americans really are deep down. And we kind of like, just don't bother me type of people. And I think we're going to get back into that. Yes, America has been legal for a while. Colorado and Washington State were first. But, I mean, still, we're having like a federal debate with it. You can't really cross state lines with it. So, we still got some work to do. How is it in South Africa? Can you just take it anywhere, or do you need city permits? Or district permits, I should say. Is it like beer distribution where you have to get a permit for every like city, county in the state or area that you're in? My bad. Volleyball. You're 60. Okay, I'm 47. So, yeah, it was a rough transition from what I saw. So I can only imagine it's heartbreaking to see the change from what you saw to now. Oh my goodness. So you're born in like 64, 65. Okay. So now I was kind of getting old. Yeah, so you were like enjoying the arcades then. I was on the tail end of that. Yeah, there has been a lot of changes. Hopefully it gets better. I hope they do something with the Patriot Act. Even though I would understand why you would want to monitor people, it would be nice to feel like you do have your privacy back. You know, less government, the better. And it seems like that's the track they're going for. Dang, so you must really miss like the late 70s then. I missed the late 80s. Late 80s, early 90s, that was kind of like the best time for me. Nintendo, Super Nintendo era. I think it was still I guess, an overall consensus to let kids be kids. And it was a lot more lighthearted, I felt. Now it's a little more serious on a 9-year-old. But that's cool, man. I'm just glad it's changed. Like, you know, even just to have a hope of optimism, because for a while it was like doom and gloom. And then instantly it was like a cloud was lifted off the next day. It was just, the air was filled with optimism, at least to me. Whether that was just my delusion or it was something. I have heard people talk about it though, but yeah, I just feel a lot better. Okay, there we go. Trimmy, trim. Bing. Yeah, I'd like actually for interstate commerce to happen with cannabis. That's something that can't happen. You kind of stuck with the stuff in your state. And maybe that's also a underlying way to like not make California dominate. Cause I mean, honestly, Humboldt weed is legendary. I mean, they know about it on the other side of the world. Oh, do you know about it in South Africa? I'm sure. I mean, it's got quite a rep. With Hawaii and California, Afghanistan, those are like historic places that they got that fire. Or that za. I'm sorry, I'm old. Okay, cool. Yeah, pretty nice. Trim job, I think. No, wrong way in the camera. Yeah, some pretty nice footage. We'll throw this back in the bucket, oh love. And then we'll get on with the video. Drink a little bit more, get the pressure off my back. Man, it's gonna be a mission. But we're gonna fill this bucket, damn it. We're gonna fill this bucket. Oh, there we go. Trying to keep them large and intact. These are, all the buds in here was like the first top portion of the plant. So I was saving this to kind of put in the bucket, the longer spears, and the smaller things would be put in the jar. My fault, I was doing that like you could see me. Yeah, I like the way all these kind of finish. That way. Okay, there we go. Why am I so tired? I ain't just nothing. Yeah, that's what we got in the bucket so far. So we're giving this like a little, the bottom's almost covered up. I'm pretty happy. I guess what, that'd be like an ounce or something spread out or something. But I figured it'd also be easier to get a final dry weight by having everything in a bucket versus trying to take everything out of jars or something like that to get a final weight. All right, move the cam. And then we'll proceed to the rest of the show. There we go, my bad. And get that light out your face. Okay. Let me go up a little bit, my bad. There we go. A little more decent. So my bad about that. I guess because I've been doing this for hours. What I started at like 11 last night after I went to sleep. Woke back up at like 3, was trimming till 7. Banana Daddy, that sounds good. Yeah, that sounds good, Hustle Estate. But then, yeah, I woke back up at, what, like 8, and then trimmed a little bit, had to rush and get all the stuff ready for the live stream, and yeah, I still was running behind, so my bad about that. Yes, way to connect. There we go. So let me get this video queued up. As I said, we're gonna watch I don't want to see that. It's a longer breakdown. Okay. That's conditions. Boom.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Micro YouTube channel.
Okay, yeah. Let me adjust this. This happens every so often. This is a video from Micro. Micro Light. Okay, is that what they would be? But they're on YouTube. Okay, there we go. You got my show. All right, here. Oh. Sorry about that bucket. A bucket of love. But there we go. So this is from Micro. This is talking about the best environment for your plants. Now, as I said, for indoor, I got to work on it myself. But hopefully we'll learn something.
This video, we're going to look at how to control conditions in your...
Hold on. Something's not right. That's right. Okay. Because I'm hearing a delay. I don't know if y'all are hearing a delay or it's just me, the best streamer on YouTube. Oh, what? There we go. So
grow room to get maximum yield. The conditions in your grow room you should be looking at are the ones which affect photosynthesis. You can see here from the diagram, the inputs into photosynthesis are light, which is the engine that drives everything. You literally can count, there's 8 photons will contribute to 1 unit of photosynthesis or 1 unit of growth. So more photons equals more growth, or more light equals more growth, up to a point. Plants intake CO2 then, they breathe CO2. They need to be maintaining a good level of CO2 with good ventilation. Temperature controls the rate at which photosynthesis is going to occur. Okay, I was just about to say something about that.
I was like, oh, I guess he's talking about ventilation with that, but then he just mentioned it. I need the force. Thank you. Made it. Okay, I turned into Mr. Fantastic and stretched. .420 fast buds. I keep hearing a lot about them. I actually need to check them out. I guess when I sort out my genetic mess. But I think 18 hours is about the max you can kind of give a plant. It's got to have some sort of rest period. Now, he mentioned oxygen, and I'm guessing you definitely need to have at least adequate circulation. Some kind of airflow going.
So you need to maintain that in a band to get a good rate of growth. And of course, moisture is very critical too. Plants need watering, and they need to have sufficient water to grow well and not too much to get waterlogged or to get to develop mold. So the first...
Okay, so yeah, I guess that somebody was talking about like bottom feeding water. And that seems like a brilliant idea. Oh shoot, just lost my other laptop, no big deal. But just to maintain the right amount of moisture, that will make the plant's roots have so much more ease building that root ball, being able to access the nutrients.
one we're going to look at is light level. As you can see from this graph, as you increase light level, growth rate increases all the way up until...
Hold on, is the Pakistan seed company, are they on YouTube? Because I saw somebody having some, was it like, it was, I think it was Pakistan genetics. I thought it was kind of interesting, like, because you don't really hear too much about that. Maybe it was Indian strands, but I want to say it was Pakistan. Now that I see that, months ago I stumbled upon one of their videos. They had, what the heck was it? It was like black something. I forget the name of the strand, but dude was pretty much totally speaking the native language, and it was subtitles. So I had to believe that it was true, and he looked like, you know, just a regular old grower. But is that the seed company you're talking about, Pakistan? They had about 4 or 5 different type of sativas and indica dominants. You are correct, sir. Cool. Okay.
an average par of about 800 micromoles per meter square per second. It's a very high light level to have in your tent. If you increase beyond that, you do get an increase in rate of growth, but it's not one for one. So for example, if you double your light intensity from 800, you will not get double your growth rate. You'll get something slightly less than that. You can keep that line straight and utilize the higher light intensity by elevating CO2. We'll talk about that later when we talk about...
Okay, you saw that video too. That's cool. Okay, cool. Because that was a quest of mine, I guess, like 3-4 years ago, to get a bunch of land races together and try and breed with them. But then I started to realize a lot of those you don't even want to breed with to mess up what you have. But I would love to try some true like native strains from places. Well, it was Nepal was big back in like the 60s, 70s. Nepalese, so stuff from Turkey. I'd love to try that, like, you know, it's Durban poison. How is that now? I heard like the original stuff was extremely cerebral and had a licorice taste. So there is a lot to the native strains, but I guess really depending on where you're trying to grow it is I guess the result you're going to get as far as effect goes from it. It might not be the best environment for it to express itself. Because I was really wondering about this original Haze. This is like Colombian by Colombian, I believe, is what it was said. But yeah, this was dying out, and the actual Colombian is finally ready. It was like a week behind, so it's not going all the way into 16 weeks. It stopped at about 14. It's not going to make it to December. I actually was going to cut down the Colombian today, but I'll try and take a break. I figured y'all didn't want to see 2 harvests in a row, so I'm going to be cutting that down. I guess we'll react to it next week. I'll try and spare you, give you an edited, more condensed version of the harvest. Because I can understand, like, the dry trimming and the harvesting. I guess I'm not good enough. I'm not prepared, or I'm approaching it the wrong way. But I totally believe what you said as far as have a good topic when you're trimming. So maybe I'm approaching it in the wrong way, but yeah, I didn't want to make y'all suffer with what I got now. Breast Growing stream on YouTube on Sunday at 10 a.m. I did the joke wrong. Oh, you still do have the landrace urban poison. Because I think the one going around America isn't the exact same as like that licorice flavored one, from what I've heard at least. Thank you for coming in, Hustle Estate. I really appreciate it. You enjoy yourself. Thank you for all the info. Yeah, you have a good weekend, a good week. I'll see you later. Yeah, you just enjoy life. Oh, cool. I never really thought about Pakistani strands. So just anything, I guess, we can get land raised, that would definitely help. That's a good source. Yeah. That was a good source. Okay. Happy growing, everybody. Did I do something wrong?
But to achieve that 800 micromoles per meter squared average, you can do it a number of different ways. First is really check the grow light that you're buying or the grow light that you have bought. They should tell you in their data sheet what the average per that light will deliver over its chosen grow area. You should be able to get it from the specs from the grow light manufacturer. If you don't have that, well, then here are some rules of thumb or a rough guide into how to achieve that.
Is this the one
if
with
you're
the
using
diagram?
relatively low efficiency, such as fluorescence, you'll need about 100 watts per square foot or about 110 watts per meter squared. High pressure sodium are a lot more efficient, so you need less wattage of those. So somewhere in the region of about 50
I'm gonna
watts.
wait till the whole chart fills out and pause it and try and enlarge
sodium
it.
per square foot, or about 550 to 600 watts per square meter. You get up into high efficiency LEDs, a good efficiency. This would be not the top available at the moment, but just slightly lower than that. You would need in the region of about 35 watts per square foot, or close to 400 watts per square meter to achieve 800 micromoles per meter squared.
Okay. So I'm gonna pause it there just so we see all that. That is very true. Soil microbes, yeah, it's always kind of interesting to, I guess, go back to the basics and understand the basics. A lot of times, I guess, like movies, once you read something over and over again, you always kind of find something that you missed the time before. Somewhat, I'm just a good memorizer, and I've been exposed to a lot of knowledge. I guess that's it. Everybody learns a lot, but not everybody retains the information that well. I have a good ability to recall most of the things that I see. And I guess that's due to things standing out to me. You remember most of the things that stand out to you, and most of the other things you can't really recall. But yeah, I just have a pretty good memory. I can recall things. But this is interesting. So for every square meter, he's saying you need 400 watts of light. And that also might be one of my problems, that I don't have enough light intensity in there. So let's see. 50. That's 300. 250 is 250. So I got a 550 capability in the tent, but I really only have 250 watts on. I have a fan in there, but it's not purposely aimed. It's just in there to kind of make wind. So if I better work with the ventilation, possibly open up more air pockets in the grow tent, increase the light intensity, and like you were saying, Definitely check on the soil and the microbes. Always a good subject. And always a good thing to check when you're growing. That right there will probably be like 90% of the work right there. And that's what I'm probably going to work on next. These 5 things that he's going through so far. We only got a couple more to go.
Square per second. If you're
But I'm enjoying
using
it.
really high efficiency LEDs, it'll drop down. You'll need about 30 watts per square foot or about 350 watts per square meter. So once you've got the light levels sorted, you then have, as I said, the driving force, the energy source for the growth in place. You then need to control your other environmental factors. Second one I was looking at in prioritize is the temperature. So the rate of the photosynthesis, the rate of the reaction will increase with temperature increase right up to about 28 degrees Celsius or about 82 degrees Fahrenheit.
Thank you. That's what I needed right there. I'm not on Celsius. So, okay. It basically maxes out at about 82 degrees. And I can understand that. Because I hear that about like outdoor. Once it gets past a certain temperature, okay, now the plant is not necessarily growing bulk. It's more so now growing, like going into resin production, things that protect it from the UV light. So there is still, I guess, medicinal growth going on, but it's not as far as size. It goes, I guess, more into effect and end product. If you're washing, that's probably the things you want to do to stress it. Most things that we're doing to get full phenotypical expression is a stress on the plant in some kind of way. So I think that's what it would be. Some plants get waxy, and I guess that's also due to an environmental stress, not necessarily just the sun, but probably a heavy wind would cause it to do that. Wax and oil. So about 82 degrees, 400 watts, good moisture, good air.
Above that, the plant gets under stress.
He does test a lot of lights. I actually have another video from him. He has another chart. That's the reason I like my grow. This is the main reason I wanted to show it. I think his information is very digestible. He's so knowledgeable, I forgot about him. Then when I was researching again and found him again, I was like, oh yeah, this dude has been on a bunch of shows I've seen. I remember all of his videos. Not all of the videos that I watched from him personally. Not that I watched all his videos, but from all the ones I saw, it was very digestible information, very screenshotable, very croppable to like post on Instagram, X, whatever. But take the basics and explain it, but still not take it to a level where it's untouchable. So far he's been on a roll.
Stress.
I've been stopping.
It has to basically transpire or sweat a lot more water in order to maintain its temperature, and that puts the plant under stress, and you actually get a reduced rate of growth when you go into higher temperatures. Lower than that, and the growth rate slows down. At night time, you can have a slightly different regime. So when the lights are off, you don't need a high growth rate because the plants aren't growing because there's no light. But you do need to maintain that temperature above around 12 degrees centigrade or about 50 degrees Fahrenheit. And that's just so the plant, to protect it, be careful that it doesn't get any cold shock at night, which will stunt its growth.
Okay. So the high is 82 and the low is 54. And that kind of makes sense because I think about 45 degrees outdoors. I know that the roots start to go into like winter conversion. They start to like the roots start to wrap themselves and start to harden to protect themselves from the colder temperature. So, also the flower production is going to slow at that point. So I guess the point of this is, if you look at, I guess, a plant at 100%, and if you were to just pop a seed and put it anywhere, it probably would only get to, say, 60% of its potential. So every one of these little check boxes that you can click adds like a certain percentage to getting you to 100% phenotypical expression. Soil and microbes. If the soil is thriving, there's an abundance of nutrients in there, there's actually life, there's a transfer of nutrients. What am I trying to say? Symbiotic relationship going on between the ground, fungi, nutrients, microbes, and the plant roots. You're good to go as long as you can keep the light intensity, the temperature, and the amount of light on the plant. You're going to get more optimum growth. So say that gets us to like 80%. Get that ventilation going, get the right water moisture concentration going in the soil. Okay, now we're at like, say, 90%. Every little bit that you tweak, adding keratin, the brown rice vinegars, the lactobacillus, all these things that not only protect the soil from being anaerobic, inoculating the soil, adding microbes into it, it also is a benefit to the plant health. So that's, each little percentage point achieving us to 100% phenotypical expression.
So to control the temperature within the grow room, you can use your fan. You are likely to be taking air from outside of your grow room, possibly even from outside altogether, so outdoor fresh air. This is likely to be at a lower temperature than 25 degrees centigrade or about 70 degrees Fahrenheit, and therefore you will be able to keep your tent down around those temperatures by bringing more cool air in from outside. If you're getting too warm, there's a couple of things that you can do. First of all is run your light cycle at nighttime, because your lights are what generating most of the heat. So basically have your lights on at nighttime, and then you would be generally bringing in cooler air at nighttime to keep the grow room cool while the lights are on. That makes sense. If you want to keep
that's a nice sheet. Oh no, Ram, no. Oh man. I'm so sorry to hear that. I have been to jail before. It's the most boring place on earth. It's a screwed up situation, and I had a friend snitch on me. Nah, I shouldn't say, I guess snitch, I don't know. Basically, his information aided in me going to jail. And not that it was a weed growing related crime, but I remember as a teenager, I don't know if you've seen any of my earlier stuff, I've been trying to grow since I was 14, seeds was abundant in weed up until 2000. And I would grow weed and show my friends, and mysteriously a week or two later the plants would be missing, the plants would be gone. And I don't necessarily want to say they sat there and dug all the stuff out and moved the stuff out or whatever, but I'm sure it was more of a fact of them telling somebody else and them telling somebody else, and then basically the cops are the ones that take it. I'm sure it's realistically what more so happened. But to grow weed in a place like growing weed is one of the most magnificent things you can do. It's a drug, so everybody wants it. You use it, so it has so much personal investment in it. I mean, the way I used to put it to my friends, yeah, once weed gets in my possession, it triples in value. And it kind of does. Like, yes, I bought a dub. I bought $20 worth of weed. But if I had to give you any, that would pretty much defeat the purpose of me buying $20 worth of weed, which back in my day was like you'd get kind of an extra amount for spending that much money. So I guess that would be like getting a quarter now. But like that's when the discount kicks in. But to have somebody you kind of trust, you want to tell people, and for that to betray you, for something that you really feel, I think at least, should be free and everybody should have access to, it got turned on you, and that's so sad. I feel so bad to hear that. No woods. What? Oh my goodness gracious. That's how old I am. Oh my goodness. I hate to say this, but this is what I was told, like when I was locked up and like I got in a program to help get me out early, and they basically said that 90% of the time you get away with things, but it's that 10% that's going to kill you. And that was very true. Like I could not argue that I was so accustomed to it, I normalized it, and it really wasn't something that should have been normalized. I guess that much to me, because I treated it like it was nothing. I thought everybody else I would show it to would treat it as if it was nothing, but that's not the case, and that hurts. I that took me back. I remember those days. There was a time when I was all alone. That was James Brown, sorry. And he was screaming from, I'm sure, when he was locked up, his music box. Yeah, I didn't have a lot of woods either. Realistically, I grew up in Montgomery County, Maryland, and most of the woods were pretty much very thin because they just put like townhouses on top of townhouses, and everything else was kind of state park claimed. So I can totally relate to that. The few spots that I basically could blend the plants into, that realistically, now that I think about it, they weren't good spots now, but to my like 14, 15, 16-year-old brain, they were excellent. But I just feel bad. Like I understand what it means for somebody that kind of you trust tells on you. It's not just that they betrayed your trust, but it's hard to trust anybody after that. Yeah, exactly. I just read the comment. Yeah, you don't trust really people anymore. And I guess for me, I got arrested and was in jail when I was like 21, 22, and like all these people that I hung around with all the time basically just kind of left me there. Life went on without me, and I guess I had a whole nother life somewhere else, and it was just amazing how they could just drop me like that. And after coming out of jail and going back around them was different. I mean, it's really easy for you to, I guess, appreciate me when I'm here, but when I'm gone, it's kind of, there's no appreciation. Yeah, it's rough. Yeah. And in all fairness, the person who I was with when I got in trouble, they could have got deported. So realistically, I didn't want him to get deported. Honestly, I had known this person up to this point since I was in the 5th grade. And, you know, they're like 22, so we had graduated. We were like 2-3 years out of high school, whatever, 4 years out of high school when this happened. You know, I wouldn't want it to be that way, because quite honestly, I learned so much about life at that point that really without that, I would just be a victim walking, to be quite honest. But I'm sorry to hear that. I'm sorry to hear that. That was the past, and that was old, and growing is new.
Temperature up at a higher level, just slow down the speed of your fan. And you can get fans, by the way, which are temperature controlled variable speed fans. So they will do all of this for you. You just set the band of temperature that you want them to operate in, and they will vary the speed of the fan to keep your grow room within that temperature, and I'd highly recommend them. If you're still struggling, you can then, you know, if it's in winter or in summer, you can use an additional heater with a thermostat control, or air conditioning with thermostat control, to limit the peaks and keep the environment temperature within those bands.
That's funny. I mean, I'm laughing because I heard something similar. Funny in the sense that I've heard that before. Not funny as in I don't believe it. Like, what the fuck was that? No, one of my hanging plants was just flaming back and forth, and I wondered, what was it, a gust of wind, or like what made it do that? Poltergeist is an entity. Yeah, I heard that. I'm like almost in Pennsylvania at this point. And the first day I started working at my job, that's what some dude was saying. Man, you can't trust nobody around here. People be telling. So a couple months later, I was working with somebody in the same place, and pretty much the person I was working with knew the other person from the street, like they went to high school together or whatever. So I was like, yeah, he was saying that everybody be telling. Yeah, everybody be telling. You can't trust nobody. People be snitching. And so I remember seeing something, Corey Holcomb was talking about that. Like, he don't understand youngins nowadays. Like, they'll be telling on people and then come back around like everything okay. So yeah, I don't get the snitching thing. Like, I was kind of ready to go all in, and now I understand I never communicated that with anybody I was with. So had I known that maybe they weren't willing to go through the lengths that I was willing to go through, I wouldn't have done it with them, and then maybe none of this would have happened. But like I said, I learned so much. I went from basically nerdy to flirty after that. I like literally, okay. I got out of jail. I got on a drug program that got me on house arrest. I was only able to leave the house to go to work, but excuse me, I was on the DC subway, which pretty much lets you go to Virginia, Maryland, DC, whatever. First day out, I book a chick. I get a girl's phone number. This is pre-cell phone, so you actually had to have a pen on you and a piece of paper and write it down and go back to the house phone or a landline and call the person. There was caller ID at this point, but like cell phones are like a year or two out. Certain people had them, but like anyway. Soon as I get out, boom, get a chick. That's because I had jail muscles and I knew what to do. I knew what to say. I was around enough older people, I was around enough seasoned people to kind of explain life to me, and I was much better after that. I don't think I could have been to the point I'm at. Not that I'm anywhere, but mentally I'm very strong, and I couldn't have done that without that. That was a real growing experience. That was my college, a school of hard knocks, as they say. Oh, they sell good lights. Okay. Because actually, I think I'm on an Amazon light.
Insofar as you can. Next one to look at is CO2 levels. So CO2 is available in the atmosphere at about 390 parts per million. Increased obviously recently in terms of greenhouse gases and all of that, but that's the normal level that it's at. And at that, growing at the rates we're talking about, with light levels up to about 800 micromoles per meter square per second, you can get marginal increases in grow rate by increasing the CO2 a little bit. You can use mushroom bags or the yeast canisters. Another way to elevate your CO2 a little bit, you can get another 100 parts per million, is just by taking air in from where people are occupying a space. So if you're growing in an attic space, take the...
Okay. I wonder about that. Those are the kind of questions that I wonder about. Like, how do you quantify what you're saying most of the time? Because I notice a lot of times things are said, but there's no basis to prove what's being said. Usually people make blanket statements and try and say that it's a fact. So I wonder, how do you come to the conclusion this is a fact and not just your word against someone else? And I guess what I mean by that is, back in the day, I was fascinated with quantum physics, and people would talk about black holes and wormholes. And if we've never been there, how are you telling me that this is the truth? Like, you're speaking to me like this is a fact. You've never been there. This ain't like, hey, New York isn't like that. This is deep, deep, deep space. We can't even get there, and you're trying to tell me what it is. How are you quantifying that there's a black hole? What are you justifying this by? So that's one of the things. And so, like, hey, this bro light will give you 200% more results. What are you basing that off of? It's got to have some kind of basis, according to traditional lights, according to this certain light. Like, there's got to be some kind of standard for you making the claim that you're making. So I always wondered this: how much CO2 can be added at a certain point? How much CO2 does a human add? And he's saying it would take a group of people to add 100 parts per million in a room. Oh, pills.
The air up from the bedroom, because you'll have an elevated level of CO2 there. But if you want to get up into really high levels, and in order to utilize that higher light levels I was talking about, so getting above 1,000 micromoles per meter square per second, you need to match that in terms of ppm with CO2. So trying to get 1,000 ppm CO2 in your grow area, the only way you can really practically do that is by having a closed system. So the air, you're using air conditioning to keep the temperature down in the tent. There's no fresh air coming in, or the air isn't being extracted out of your tent.
So an inline fan, in other words.
Scrubbers to reduce the odor, so carbon filters within that system. And then you can use CO2 canisters along with sensors and automatic valves to maintain an elevated level of CO2 in your grow. However, it's expensive, difficult to do. The first place I would direct people when they're saying they want to get higher yield is not to use that sort of system. I usually say to people, look, why don't you just grow in a larger area for more yield before getting very complex in terms of your systems and using up a lot more energy with air conditioning and CO2 systems. But commercial guys like it, and some indoor growers, when they're stuck or they want to just really maximize their area, will use closed systems. Last one to measure, it's probably the most difficult one to control, which is humidity. Generally, plants like high humidity in that when a room is humid, the rate of transpiration, or the rate of sweating of your plants, the amount of moisture they have to lose to maintain temperature is reduced. A lower humidity will draw more water out of the plants and mean they'll respire more. And this is problematic for them. It basically puts them under stress. So a relatively high humidity of about 70 or 80% is generally very good for high levels of growth. However, when the tent gets filled more with plants, in particular with dense buds and flowers, you get an added element of risk, which is bud rot and getting moisture condensing in those buds and those leaves, and your plants may rot. And you want to reduce the risk of that by reducing the humidity in the sort of middle to late stages of flowering and bring that down to around 50% if you can. Outdoor air temperature on a normal day where it's not raining, or normal humidity, would be about 50 or 60%. So to bring your tent down to 50 or 60%, if you want to reduce it, there's a couple of ways of doing it. Bring in more fresh air and extract air quicker, so at a higher rate. And this will take the moisture generated in the grow room out.
Oh, this is perfect. I came in at the right time. So, okay. Leave a window open to decrease humidity. I need to increase humidity. Yeah. It's really the law of it that's the problem. I mean, people are always going to make money if they're available to make money to do something. Like, cops are going to be cops. As long as there's law enforcement, there's going to be cops. They're going to enforce the law. So the problem is really the law, not necessarily the cops. I mean, trust me, I felt that way. I've had a gun pointed in my face by police. Like, I grew up pretty much around DC, like a mile and a half from DC. So DC was where I'd hang out pretty much 90% of the time. And yeah, I've had quite a many guns pointed in my face, and I've been frisked quite a few times. The problem ain't the cops. Like, the cops will, there's some assholes. I'm not trying to say that's not it, but they wouldn't have the opportunity to do that to me if it wasn't drug laws that they could be looking for. You know, understand? Like, if there wasn't a problem with smoking weed, which gives them probable cause to come over and mess with us, question us, none of that would be happening. Cops wouldn't be a problem. Like, when I went in jail, I realized a lot of the correctional officers were kind of nice people. They would ask me questions about life. It was pretty much the same correctional officers every day, so they'd ask you real questions like, oh, you got a visitor. Oh, okay, you're going to visit. Is that your family? Make sure you take care of them. Make sure you tell them, you sorry. Make sure you change for them. I would hear this from multiple CEOs on my walk through the cell gates to get to the visiting room. And like I said, it put life in perspective. I went from just, I guess, my friends was my whole world and I'm going to do anything to hang out with them, to realizing, I couldn't deny it. It was not my friends coming to visit me. So, what's really important? I heard a guy say one time that he started a business. Within 2 years, it became $1 million company. He had basically put $1 million into it and they were getting revenue. Then the next year, the company basically folded. He wasn't able to pay rent. Now he owns 3 other companies and he's like, got 10, 100 million, something like that. But he was basically saying the way he looked at losing that first company was his $1 million crash course in business. And it was what he thought, and then it was what it really was. And that was the value he got of it. I understand losing that $1 million, especially to lose the $1 million as it's being lost, has to be heartbreaking. But if you can come out of that fire and be forged into steel and have that mindset, that's why he's able to start 3 other companies. Because, like, I'm not going to be beat. I'm still breathing. I can move on. And yeah, people hurt you. Life really is against you, but you have to find the little pieces where it's for you, where you find your happiness. That's what makes everything great. You know, it's not good all the time, but when you do have a chance for it to be good, make it as great as you possibly can. It's the little things, as people saying it kind of is. I look at growing like, now I'm kind of dependent on me growing my own medicine. It went from, oh, this would be cool to do, to, wow, I can do this. And now I'm getting better and better at it. I'm pretty good at this. I know what it takes. I'm not saying I'm the best grower ever, but it gets me what I need. I'm able to do it. People like watching it, I believe, and it gives me an opportunity to talk to y'all. And that's really, I guess, what I wanted out of it. To, I guess, visually smoke a joint with people and pass it to them and be able to talk. Very happy.
The other one is to stop the sources of the moisture in the grow room, which is to cover up any water sources, even to cover the top of your pots, so cover over the soil so that water can't evaporate off that surface. And that'll help you reduce it down. You still can't reduce the humidity. Probably the only other way is to use air conditioning to drop that humidity down. Trying to increase humidity, you're going the other way. Your options are to use a humidifier, or as I said earlier, to slow the rate of air extraction from your tent. When talking about humidity and temperature, a lot of people like to talk about VPD, vapor pressure deficit, and this is quite a complex concept to get your head around, but it's basically a relationship between the temperature and the humidity in the tent. And if you look at this green band of where the ideal VPD is for growing plants indoors, you see that at around 25 to 30 degrees centigrade, or about 65 to 80 degrees Fahrenheit, which is what we want to control our grow room to, having a relative humidity of around 70 to 80% puts you right in the middle of that desirable VPD.
Okay, so that's vegetative growth. All right, so he's saying 80 degrees to 65 degrees to 80 degrees, or 25 to 30 Celsius. That's for the vegetative growth. That's interesting. So the lights, actually, it can go up to 82 degrees with the light, but the optimum humidity temperature level is about 65 to 80 degrees, and that makes sense. That's I think pleasant to humans. That seems like it would be pleasant to plants. A dehumidifier, okay. Cause I actually need to put a humidifier in there. I think I have it though. Yeah, I definitely need a humidifier. That'll really help. I'm going to start, because you know, of course, using natural ingredients, it takes about a week for it to take effect. But I need to do some real maintenance in the tent. I've been really neglecting things. I need to do some maintenance today, get it back in order, and then we'll start showing the grow videos from the tent, get us into the next outdoor season. But I'm definitely in trim jail, so I got my work cut out for me for the next couple days. A dehumidifier, okay, because we had one in our basement, and I wonder if it's almost, I guess, a humidifier can almost put too much moisture in the air. And we have a dehumidifier in the basement, and whenever it's on, the air is like so dry in the house, like nosebleed city for the kids especially. So is it something that should constantly run, or something that should be used incrementally? Like, 12 hours on, 12 hours off, something like that. Too high humidity where you are? Wow, because I got low humidity. My humidity is at 32%. I checked this morning. And that's why I was saying I'm so surprised that these plants in the shed, which has been outdoors, it's been about 40% humidity, still got all this, like, okay, that's kind of crunchy, but barely. The stuff I have in the garage would have fell apart on me. The branches, don't snap, but the bud is definitely dry. The bud is at about 58% humidity. So as soon as I get out of here, I'm gonna try and finish all the stuff in the garage, throw all the stuff that's in here, which seems to be, like I said, about, like, I'm guessing like maybe 68, 60, so 70 to 67% humidity, just judging that the leaves won't crumble on these. Like, they're not dry, the stems don't break. So a combination of the two should even it out at a good, I'm figuring it's going to cure at 64% humidity when it's all said and done. Once this extra wet stuff gets with the drier stuff. Because by the time I finish, it might be at like 58% humidity. So I need to kind of speed it up and get it into contact with it. Sorry, I turned this into
So if you don't want to learn about VPD, you don't have to. It's not critically important. Just keep your temperatures within that band and your humidity within the band we've spoken about. So temperatures 25 to 30 degrees Celsius and humidity around 70 to 80%. It's quite complex, especially when you're getting going, on how to manage these things and manage the relationship for them. But what I'd say is get your light level first, because that's a building block to achieving a good yield. It's the foundation. Then control, as a matter of priority, control your temperature, and secondarily have a monitor in your grow room to keep an eye on humidity and be prepared to basically sacrifice temperature, i.e. increase the airflow through the tent to get humidity down when it needs to be, either in the latter stages of flowering or when the moisture level is high due to humidity outside being high. A lot to take on, so I hope I was able to get it across okay for you. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them down below and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. Take care.
Damn, I was hoping that he was going to say everything. That's why I kind of let it play out to the end. But that was extremely informative, man. That really was interesting. I like that he pretty much covered everything that you need to know, and then at the end he kind of recapped and put everything into priority. So the one thing I thought that was different is he said the light was the building block, and I kind of figure it's the soil and the microbes would be the building block, light would be number two, but everything else seemed very, very, very accurate, and that was extremely good to know. Good airflow, around 60-80% humidity during veg, good moisture. To decrease the humidity, you can increase the airflow, open up the tent, open up the window if for the intake valve. If you need to increase humidity, you can use a air conditioner or a humidifier. And I guess, you know, like you're saying, a dehumidifier if need be, if it's too much humidity. Yeah, if it starts to get into the like 70, well, 80 to 60% humidity, yeah, I can definitely see using a dehumidifier. But I guess my problem is because our humidity is lower than that, trying to get it out. So we're getting it to almost like 30% humidity, 20% humidity in the house, and that might be the nosebleed problem. So maybe that's what I answered my own question. Thank you. Dummy. Got another one. And I believe this is micro as well. Let me just make sure I queue this up correctly. You know, because the audio is usually always an issue.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Micro YouTube channel.
Cool. The Micro YouTube channel. So yeah, I gotta give him a look. It's funny, I had to kick the audio down in the first one. Now I gotta give him some audio in this one. So we're gonna cut the music too. Thanks for the music. That helped.
Video, I'm going to look at planning out your grow area. If you're starting, be a guide to what sort of area in terms of grow tent size you might need, what light you might size, wattage light you might need for that grow tent, what yields you might expect, all that type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
There is a range in terms of performance of equipment, ability of the users, processes that you are using, in terms of how much yield you can get from each of these setups. And I will try to give you a reasonable, achievable guide to
okay, that's him. That's not me.
Your equipment.
I thought the audio was popping.
The first one, possibly the most controversial one, is looking at yield estimates, and looking at them in a number of different ways. So looking at photo period versus autoflower. So that's where you get on to the 12-12 cycle with photo periods for flowering, and autoflower, which you can run pretty much up to 24 hours, lights on a day. Right through the grow cycle. Looking at larger plants and smaller plants.
Okay.
What type of
okay, this is going to be the grow tent size chart. That's what this is for my grow.
Sizes. And so there is a range. Autoflowers, although they grow a lot quicker, tend to grow relatively small. So the plants might get to, say, 2 to 3 feet high, maybe 60 to 90 centimeters high, and around the same in width, or circumference at least.
Okay. Now I don't know if you can necessarily hear what he's saying, understand what he's saying.
To be
This is a good principle. This is the reason most of the grow tent measurements are done in square feet or square meters, is because usually the plant is about as wide as it is tall in most cases. With like Afghani dominant genetics, they grow out as a bush, so they're short and bushy. So it's pretty much like a layer haircut. They're like kind of symmetrical on all sides. Whereas sativas kind of give a little more of a lanky stretch, to where the plant might be 2 feet tall, but really only about a foot of it is actual like flowering growth.
Of a smaller maximum size, whereas photoperiod plants, and depending on the genetics, but you can have them in the veg cycle and grow them very, very big before switching them over to flower. And I've seen people, for example, fill a whole 4 foot by 4 foot tent with just one plant. The pluses and minuses are, to grow the plants larger, you need less plants to fill the space. But as I said, you also need to grow them for veg them for a longer time. So sometimes people will be getting a massive yield, for example, out of a 4x4, but it could be taking from one plant, but it could be taking them 5 months.
5 months. Okay. So this was the part I wanted to kind of enlarge a little bit. Let me try and help you out here. And I'm going to stay stationary. So that's the one thing I was kind of wondering about. I was just about to hint to that. How long of a veg time is not an average, not what I want to say. What is your ideal veg time? And I notice for me, especially indoors, like outdoors, it's no point. I guess June and July is pretty much veg time, whatever that is. But indoors, usually about 4 to 6 weeks. Around the like 5-6 week mark is where the shoots of it start to actually grow and are long enough to actually take clones. So that's the reason for that. But do y'all veg longer? Is it like, an 8-week veg and an 8-week flower? I'm curious. Wow. Your exhaust system's too small. Okay. Can you add more fans perhaps if the I guess inside exhaust system's too much? Can you point a fan somewhere else to kind of spin extra air in a corner, say? In a corner, say, and then that would help to exhaust some of the humidity in the air. Because pretty much that's what any wind is doing, is pretty much stripping moisture. I know that to add humidity or to cool something down, you basically take a wet towel and a fan, blow a fan right next to it, and that will drop the temperature of whatever you're trying to, I guess, cool. So I wonder, in the same sense, can you add extra material into a room to decrease humidity? Like the extra things in the room absorb a little bit of that moisture in there. I guess kind of something similar to what I try and do with the leaves, the fan leaves on a plant. Strip it down or leave extra depending on the humidity in the air. Is that possible? Or is my just a drunk dummy? Drunk dummy. 4 weeks minimum. Yeah, okay. And I guess also another thing, I'm at least me. I cannot produce it like a conveyor belt. I can't say, okay, in 5 weeks I'm about to do this and the plants are going to be where I want it to be. I can't really necessarily do that. I'm so, I guess, handicapped by going outdoor and just don't have the knowledge to do it or something. Not that I haven't grown good plants indoors, but the best success I had was through a hydroponic system. So, that's just moisture up to wazoo. Okay. Yes, nice. All right, yeah, my eyeballs is floating again. I'm gonna come back to the video, and I'll be right back.
To complete the cycle. Whereas if you're growing a lot of smaller plants, even in the photoperiod plants,
Oh yeah,
those
this was the
plants will
chart I
fill the
wanted y'all to
canopy,
see.
which is your target,
I'm gonna pause
in
it here
veg
for a
quicker
second.
because you got more of
Yeah,
them
check it out.
growing less each
You're gonna leave
to
it
fill
up.
the space.
Ow.
And your overall cycle time will be less. Autoflowers, your cycle time for photoperiods will be 16 to 20 weeks. Again, that's a rough guide. About 8 weeks for vegging and about 8 weeks for flowering. And some people extend that, and varieties perform in different ways, different genetics. That's a rough guide. Whereas autoflowers, although you may not get the same yield per plant or per square meter, it's a much, much shorter grow cycle. So, you know, if you're getting 3/4 of the yield with autoflowers out of the same space, but doing it twice as fast, there's an obvious advantage. Overall, you're going to get 1.5 times per square foot per month, or whatever time period you're measuring over. So that's why I have small plants in there at 50 to 90 grams, or 1.5 to 3 ounces. That's sort of a general range for that size of plant. Whereas larger plants, the range can be much higher. You decide which should suit you more. In terms of LED grow lights then, so they got efficient, and compared to the HID grow lights there below on the table, they are, LED grow lights are about 50% more efficient, so you'd expect about 50% yield. So that's the sort of ratios there in terms of grams per watt. So this is, you have a 600 watt HPS, and you'd be expecting
So
to
this
get
was the important part. I'm
600.6,
sorry. I had
so
the,
about
yeah, the chart was the important part. I really appreciated this. It gives you pretty much a breakdown of the correct light for your tent. This was vital information when I saw this. This was, I guess, pretty much the hand holding that I needed to get me to buy the light to get a grow tent. So this is another person who was vital in my development and growing. I do think photos have a better high. Now definitely autos have some complexity, but realistically, I think the less you modify something, probably the better you're going to get, the better chance you got of getting the real thing, baby. Now, I do understand environment, time, how much time you want to spend growing does dictate on the, I guess, the seeds that you seek out and plan to grow. I don't really have much but time. It's a real hobby of mine, so I do have the luxury of sometimes messing with male plants, female plants. But I've had my fair share of autos. Oh, you know what? I almost fucking forgot. My copyright strike ban is over. Yes. As of yesterday, they give you a 90-day period for your strike. The strike I made was where I get my seeds from. And I was basically trying to say that that's no longer a company anymore. They are defunct. That video got taken down and I got a copyright strike, I guess, for giving you the ability to find out where to get seeds from. Like trying to sell them. I showed the website and everything on the screen. And I guess that was the problem. But the autos were nice. They got the job done, but I do enjoy the complexity of photo periods. I will have to say that. Maybe I'm very biased. I will agree with that. I have way more experience with photos and autos, but I definitely appreciate the time that photo periods allow you to put into it, the effort that allows you to put into it. Because once you put up an auto flower, if you messed up, yeah, you're going to know right away. Actually, like I'll say for me, and this is just me, this has nothing to do with auto flowers, but from my experience, I do understand a lot of my seeds were white labeled, so maybe they weren't what they were. If y'all remember the Amnesia Haze I had a couple years ago, that was supposed to be an auto, which ended up being a photo. So, you know, you can take it for what it's worth. But the first auto I grew was great. The second one was probably on the same level, but it's been all downhill ever since. And literally I had a plant that was probably the size of this beer bottle and just as wispy. It might have yielded like a quarter. And I know that's me. That was during temperature. I choose to grow in a tent during the wintertime when it's low humidity, low temperature. The oxygen isn't necessarily abundant. So that's me. But just because of that, if I grow photos, because if anything grows wrong, hey, I just let it veg longer. I'll eventually get to where I want it to be. And I've got to find the video. I definitely have to find the video up here because I haven't thought about this in years. But it talks about I guess the juice being worth the squeeze on how long you veg plants for. Once you get into, I'm paraphrasing, but once you get to say like the 7, 8, 9 week veg mark, it's not even beneficial at that point. Yes, you have a bigger plant, but that's not necessarily going to give you the best final product. So I've even heard Mendo Dope mentioning that. Like they kind of know they're only going, I don't want to say, they know they grow not the best weed. That's fair to say. Just because once they get to the trees that they grow, they know there's a trade-off between size and actually effect of the end product. Yeah, I really don't have a long experience with autos. I've tried to grow probably like 5, 6. But in the midst of growing photos with the autos, like I didn't even give it the attention to kind of tell you anything that I noticed was a difference in the growing or anything. It was just really, hey, these plants are this, the photo periods are this big at this point. The auto flower is not as big at this point. The end yield wasn't as good as the other ones. I'm not really a fan of autos. And that's just really how it worked. So that clearly sounds biased to me. It didn't work for me, so I don't like it. But what Mephisto Genetics and Copycat Genetics, their auto flowers, like I've heard multiple people, even people on the street, talk about those genetics as those auto flowers being great. I want to see Seattle Chronic is another one that they've got some great auto flowers that I've heard of. So it's definitely also what I grew and my environment, my whatever whatever you want to call it, technique, skill. But I do enjoy growing though. It is good to at least have it under your belt. And I remember hearing a story, I guess, about the original auto flower, which is a strain called Lowrider. And remember the beer plant I was talking about growing? Apparently that's what that was. But still at the time, it was phenomenal to be able to grow a plant anywhere under any lighting condition. The yield wasn't the greatest. The plant was definitely something to be ashamed of. But that opened the door for where we're at now. From what I'm hearing, that you can get 3-4 foot auto flowers. I think according to the YouTube video title, I've seen a few people have some maxed out 5-gallon bucket auto flower plants. And at least for me, I have the luxury of being kind of technically the South. And I get that good farming condition. that's what even like gave me the gumption to try and grow these Colombians. And yeah, when I went out there, I was like, oh, these joints is like ready. It's like, yeah, it's got to come down. So this is the prime weather to try and grow anything. So there's not necessarily a need for me to grow the auto flowers. But I listened to a guy, Shaping Fire, and he lives off of an island in Washington, and he grows autoflowers just because he has one of the shortest grow seasons you can imagine. So he'll grow like 12 of them or something like that. So there's definitely benefit to it. The same thing having an older person growing plants. The autoflower thing definitely takes the fear out of growing. Most people can't grow plants. For some reason, there's a disconnect. They think they can't do it. So the less of a barrier you can put up, I think the better that is. It's kind of the benefit of autoflowers, I would think. Yeah, it's a passion. It's a medicine. Yeah, it's something great. Like this, at least for me, this was something at a point I'd have paid $400 for 4 ounces. I'd have paid $150 for an ounce of this stuff. Like weekly, I would pay like $60 for a half ounce of this. And I'm at the point now that I don't even weigh the stuff out. I just have it. And I don't necessarily take it for granted, but I kind of really forget that when I was 15 years old, this was what I was talking about. And it has become a reality to the point that I depend on it. And it's beautiful. It was a learning curve. Like, you know, at the point that I wanted to do it, I knew nothing about growing. And it's gotten to this point. And I'm very, very happy with that. It is a passion. It's very nice to grow something. It's like my babies every year, especially trying to breed Octane Haze and Original Haze, the Dieselberry. I meant Heavenly Haze. Original Haze on my mind because I'm looking at this stuff. Let me get out of here. Yeah, because I'm looking. Sorry about that. But yeah, I definitely got my work cut out for me. I got to get all this down. And I'm wondering how much that's going to be in this 5-gallon bucket. Like I said, we almost got like the bottom portion of it kind of filled out. It's a little bit of the stuff from the garage in here. I had like half a jar full. Poured it in here and then came in here with this. Yeah, you can smell it. It's orange as hell. It's super duper orangey. It's hell. Super duper orangey. It just blocked the screen for me to be able to see. But we're gonna fill this bad boy up. And I'm figuring the same thing is gonna be necessarily for the Colombian that's left out there. Honestly, if y'all want to see that, if you want to see me actually cut down a Colombian, like a live stream of me cutting a Colombian down, you can let me know now or leave it in the comments. I guess tomorrow I'll make a post and ask again what y'all want to see, because it really doesn't matter to me as long as y'all show up and are hanging out. I don't care. See you later, man. Thank you. Thank you, man. Thanks for coming in, man. Consistently, thank you. And sorry about everything, man. That hurts me. Yeah, let's try and end this on a good note. Oh, shoot. It says it's over. We went through the max, baby. I didn't even know the timer was done. That's cool, man. I'm happy. And I started it late, too. So, let me see. Because I try and end it on a good note. I was going to skip it, but I don't want to do that, man. That's not fun. We all got to laugh. Okay. And where we at? Okay. No, that's not what I mean. I'm sorry. That's not the video I was looking for. I hope I didn't get rid of all the comedy crap. Because usually I get rid of it just for space purposes. These live streams is like 6 gigs sometimes. Where we at? Who? Oh, okay. Music. Okay, yeah. We'll go to Street Smarts. Once again, this is a game show from back when I was a young dummy. This they basically went to the Mall of America, which is the largest mall in America, which Minnesota, I believe. And they asked people somewhat basic questions, something similar to what YouTubers are asked people, like, name 3 countries, and people can't do it. This is pretty much the grandfather of that. It's from the 90s, mid-90s. And so the people would basically find the dummy and bet on whether the dummy picked the correct or wrong answer. Thanks, man. Yeah, y'all be safe. So basically broke the premise down. 2 players, and they pick who's the dummy. Now this is the first who is smart or not. Okay, I get you. Let me go a little further. We want to get to the first question. She's the next person, ain't she? Okay. Just to be fair, that means that a man is who likes other men. To tell me, okay. We learned that one real quick. Where we at? There we go. So there we go. Thank you, Paul. Thank you, Rams. Thank you, forget the land race people. Everybody who showed up, man. Let me go through this. Can I go back in the chat? No, I can't go back in the chat, darn. Thank you, everyone, once again for showing up. I'll keep showing up. Y'all keep showing up. Thank you very much. This means a lot. Around the world, we had South Africa, we got France, we got the East Coast of America, we got the West Coast of America. Saw a little trimming, shared our love of growing, talked about life, had a couple laughs, few drinks. Thank you, Paul. Thank you very, 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 very much. Everybody, you enjoy yourself. You be safe out there. I'm happy. Life is going good, even though, I broke my phone, but I'll get fixed. You enjoy yourself. Don't let life get you down. Grow out of it. See y'all.